about side, side, side. We talked about side, angle, side. We're going to talk about two more today. There are different ways to prove our triangles congruent. This first blank says if all corresponding angles and sides are congruent, then the triangles are congruent. Put it up before I take it away. Put it away. Everybody ready? So the first way, it is angle, side, angle, ASA. This is when we have two angles and the included side is congruent. So if two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. And it kind of looks like this, okay? If I have two triangles congruent, it is going to be one pair of congruent angles, another pair of congruent angles, and then the side in between those. So the side that touches both angles would have to be marked congruent as well. So it would become angle, side, angle. Okay? It can't be, well, it can't be this and be angle, side, angle. Okay? So that side's not in between. It has to be the side that's in between the two angles. And that's what it says right there. It's got the little asterisk beside it. Included means the side between the two angles. So if we're looking at our pictures here, what two angles are marked with one curve? A and D. So if angle A is congruent to angle D, which it's already marked in our picture right here, angle A is congruent to angle D. And then another side, what sides are marked congruent in my pictures? BA is congruent to DE. Okay, and those are marked here. And then what other angles do you see that are marked congruent? B and E. So angle B is congruent to angle E, and we have that here because there are two curves. Again, two angles and the side in between those have to be congruent. So how would you guys want to name the first triangle? The one on the left, how do you want to call it? ABC? Okay, and remember when we state our congruency statement, we have to name them in the same position. Domenico, put your phone away. Dude. How would I have to call the other one? DEF, yes. Angle D has to go in the same position as A. E has to go in the same position as B, and then F and C have to be in the same place. Okay, it has to be two angles and the side in between them in order for it to be angle, side, angle. It goes in order, angle, side, angle, ASA. Is everybody okay with that one? Okay, and then the next one, what are the letters there? AAS, that is angle, angle, side. Okay, angle, angle, side. This time it's not the included side, it's one on either side of the other angles. What two angles are marked congruent? Give me the first pair. Oh, I didn't fill in the blanks, I'm sorry. Let me do this. If two angles and the non-included side is what that's supposed to be. I'm sorry, I was skipping ahead. Two angles and the non-included side, so the side that's not in between those two, of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the non-included side of another triangle. Then the two triangles are, that's not supposed to say included. Somebody change that, please, on your paper. That is congruent. That was a typo that I did not catch until after I printed it. I have to change that included word to congruent. And then going for the angles again, you said angle A and angle D. And then give me another pair of angles that are marked congruent. Mm-hmm. And then what pair of sides are marked congruent? BC and EF. Okay. So angle, angle, side. That's not the side that's in between the two angles this time. And because all of those are congruent, then we can say that triangle ABC is going to be congruent to triangle DEF by angle side, or I'm sorry, angle side there. Kingsley. Do we see the difference in angle side angle and angle side? Where the placement is? On your quiz on Friday, you're going to have pictures, and you're just going to have markings in those pictures, and you're going to have to say, are these triangles congruent by side, angle, and angle, side?
So it would be that side.
Not in this picture. This picture is angle, side, because you see we have the two angles and then the other side marked congruent.
Okay.
So angle, side. That makes sense. So again, the four ways that we can prove triangles congruent now: side, angle, side, angle, and angle, side. We do not use any combination of angle, side, or side, angle, because that's the bad word and the bad word backwards. That should never be written on your paper. Is everybody ready? Okay. So basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at these pictures, and we are going to be determining, are they congruent by one of those four? Okay? Side, angle, side, angle. Thank you. My brain went straight. I'm just looking at the directions. It says to write a congruency statement, but I didn't put any letters, so we can't do that part of it. So we can't write a congruency statement, but what we can do is say, are they congruent and how? No, that's the ones we can't do. We can't do angle, side, or side, angle. No, that's the bad word, and you can't do the bad word backwards either. Okay? Don't be writing that on an answer on my test either. All right. So let's look at what we have in picture one. What do I have marked congruent? In number one? Have an angle, right? Does everybody see your pair of angles that's marked congruent here? In the corners, the little red curves? It's red on mine, not red on yours. And then what does that little box mean? 90. So what would the angle next to that also be? 90. So wouldn't those two be congruent as well? Okay. And then I don't have anything else marked congruent, but can I say that anything else is congruent based off of what it looks like? Do we know anything about the top angles? No. Okay. Do we know anything about a side anywhere in the picture that might be congruent? Okay. Do the two triangles have the same side? So can't we say that that side is congruent to itself? The one that's the same? Right? Huh? Anytime you have two triangles that share a side, you can always use that one as being congruent. Okay? So what do I have? How many pairs of angles do I have marked congruent? 2. And how many sides? 1. We just have to figure out, okay? These are the only two that have two angles in one side. We just have to figure out where it is. Is my side that is congruent in between the two congruent angles? Okay, look here. My two congruent angles I'm about to highlight in yellow. Is my congruent side that one that I just highlighted? It's not. So would it be angle, side, angle where the side has to be in between, or angle, angle, side where the side is not in between? Angle, angle, side. So yes, those are congruent by angle, angle, side. And we would just write it like that. We don't have to write a congruency statement because I forgot to put letters on these things. Is everybody okay with that? All right. So in number 2, what do those arrows mean? No, the lines mean congruent. The arrows mean parallel. Okay. So first of all, do you see any sides that are congruent in this picture? Don't they share a side? Okay. So this one right here in the middle, I'm going to mark it with blue this time. That side is congruent to itself, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that. So what we have to do now is think back to some parallel lines. You guys remember talking about parallel lines and transversals? And like alternate interior angles being congruent? So watch this. If this top line is parallel to this bottom line, and this is my transversal right here, would it be okay for me to say that this top angle is congruent to that bottom angle? Because those are alternate interiors, right? Everybody remember that? Okay. And then if I look at the other pair of parallel sides, this side and that side are parallel, with that still being the transversal. What about this angle here? And aren't those alternate? If you turn it, kind of look sideways at it. Those are also alternate interior angles. So those are also congruent, which means I can put those markings. So what would you think here? Side, 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 angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side? Angle, side, angle, because I have 2 congruent angles, and the side in between them is marked congruent. So these are going to be congruent because of angle, side, angle. That's probably the hardest one because people forget about the parallel lines and the alternate interior angles. Okay, you will see that picture again, so you need to make note of that and remember it. All right, number 3, what do I already have marked congruent? 2 pairs of sides. Do I have any angles marked congruent? Can I mark any angles congruent? Which ones? What kind of angles are they? Because they're what kind of angles are they? They're vertical, and we know that vertical angles are congruent, right? So now I have 2 pairs of sides and 1 angle. There's only option with 2 pairs of sides and 1 angle. It's just that angle has to be in between the 2 congruent sides. Is the angle in between the 2 congruent sides? It is. So this is going to be side, angle, side.
Number 4, would that be
Okay, we have 2 pairs of sides marked congruent, right? You saw it.
I was going to answer to see if I was right.
Were you?
I don't remember considering
That side in the middle is congruent to itself. So what do we have here? Side, side, side.
Man, what does it look like? Just on the fence, right? No letter.
Huh?
No letter. Okay.
You're just going to have to tell me how they're congruent. What do you think about 5? Think about what your letters represent. You have to have 3 pairs of congruent sides. You have to have 2 sides and the included angle. How many pairs of angles do you have marked congruent there? How many little curves do you have in your picture? Just 1 in each triangle, right? So that's only 1 angle. So the only option for 1 angle is this, right? Okay, because do we have any vertical angles in that picture at all? Okay, but is the angle in between my 2 congruent sides? It's not. Look at this. Let me highlight. This side is congruent to that side. This side is congruent to that side. If I were talking about the included angle, it would have to be this one here that touches both sides, correct? Okay, so do we have any combination of those letters? No. So if we don't have any combinations of those letters, can we say that they are congruent? You can say no, none, not congruent. This is what I'm telling you we can't use a combination of. If I were to start here, that is an angle, yes?
Mhm.
And then a side and a side, and we said we can't do angle side because that's the bad word or the bad word backwards. You can't do angle side side, and you can't do side side angle. We don't do the bad word and the bad word backwards.
Oh.
Do you get it?
I see number 6. Number 6, the first one. The first one, that's good, but is it still more?
What do you think? Are our markings the same placements?
No.
Okay, look at number 6. Do you see your one angle mark congruent? We'll do that in yellow. Okay. And then the angle marked with 2. And then the side on the left side is in between those two. The side on the right is not in between those two, is it?
Can't do angle side.
Well, that, and if they're not the same placements, you can't do anything anyway, right? So what would we say on this one? None, or not congruent, or however you want to say it.
Okay, so number 5 and 6, if they don't look alike, it's wrong.
Right. Yes. There's nothing on the back, right? Right.